Hello, we are glad you're still here and keeping it with Morning at NTV this 14th day of February 2024. Valentine's Day, Ash Wednesday, and the day that the men's conference begins in earnest. So for those of you who are onto that, whatever you're up to, please ensure that you're doing your very, very best. Our Kickstarter discussion is love and HIV advocacy on this day, Valentine's Day. We shall be looking at fighting HIV AIDS with Valentine Care. I'll be introducing my guests very shortly, but let's first go through a preamble for Valentine's Day, when lovers express their affection with greetings and gifts. Did not come to be celebrated as a day of romance until the 14th century, and given similarities, it's been suggested that the day has its origins buried in the Roman festival of Lupercalia that was held in February. Given the difficulty that some people living with HIV/AIDS can face when it comes to finding love, including negotiating disclosure, as well as sex for pleasure, work, and or creating a family in the context of criminalization, it is important to acknowledge that everyone is deserving of love and affirmation. And it's so appropriate that on this day we explore those challenges, but also reflect on government efforts towards that. In studio, I'm joined by Ruth Akullo. She is Advocacy Officer at ICWA. She'll be telling us exactly what that is and the thrust of the organization. I'm also joined by Dr. Daniel Byamukama, I must apologize, the head HIV Prevention at the Uganda AIDS Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Happy Valentine's Day to the lady.
Happy Valentine's Day.
The gentleman, we shall be gentlemen.
You're straight.
Yeah, let's stick to the regulations that we are given and the guidelines at the men's conference. First and foremost, ICWA, what is the thrust of the organization and what is your focal position in it?
ICWA in full is the International Community of Women living with HIV, Eastern Africa. And it's a regional organization covering Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Burundi. And it's a membership organization led by women for women living with HIV. And we focus to bring voices of women living with HIV to different platforms so that we see that our rights are recognized as women living with HIV.
Okay. All right, that's a good pre-overview. Shortly, we shall be coming to you to understand how you navigate discussions about HIV and the potential for activists in shaping perspectives around aspects like stigmatization. But let me go to Dr. Byamukama. Today is Valentine's Day, and we're having a discussion about love, gifting, and everything, but also the challenges that people living with HIV/AIDS go through, and which could be very, very prominent today. Could you just take us through why these messages are important on such a day?
Thank you. Messages are important because the problems we face are partly due to lack of information.
Okay.
We still see that HIV transmission in Uganda is still occurring in the context of lack of information. We recently conducted the Uganda Demographic Health Survey, which shows like up to 50% of youth do not have enough information to prevent themselves from acquiring HIV. Which means that 50% of youths are still at risk of acquiring HIV because of somebody spread a rumor. It's in the community. So it's important that we pass on information. But other challenges that we face in the HIV response, you talked about stigma. Stigma thrives in a context of no information, of inaccurate information. If people had accurate information, they will not be pointing fingers at people who are living with HIV. So it is important to pass on the information, to prepare the people, not to forget. They get taken up by excitement and they end up either transmitting or acquiring HIV. But it's also important that we pass on information to kill the vices that are keeping the HIV epidemic thriving. Vices like stigma, vices like gender-based violence, and we believe passing on information is a key tool to kill some, to end some of those vices. Okay,
that's an interesting perspective. Now, recreation on its own is a driver for HIV infections, and the fact that Valentine's Day is widely seen as a day that lovers go into a frenzy of expression of love and many times getting intimate is one of those that determine that somebody either loves you or doesn't love, according to some people, and it's quite challenging that way. Do you think that recreation should be either not curtailed as such? When I say, if I say curtailed, that will be a whole discussion altogether. But how guarded must people be, especially on a day like this? I would like to bring that question first to Ruth on how this can be achieved. Your experience working with your peers who are within the advocacy movement is pretty much something that should offer you a good perspective. How can people still get the best out of recreation without necessarily exposing themselves?
Okay. So, first of all, I would love to recognize that today is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And we believe that a lot is happening today. People are planning for different activities on how to engage in different recreational activities for them to be able to celebrate this day as lovers, as friends. And one thing I would love to point out is that safety is important for a person or for any individual, because in the heat of the moment, we believe that we are all humans, and a lot can go on without even you noticing. So safety from HIV is very, very important. And as a person, a young person who has lived with HIV all my life, I wouldn't really want someone else to experience what I've gone through, especially with the stigma that is subjected towards people living with HIV. So, and also the difficulty that comes with taking art daily, on a daily basis. So there are usually challenges that come with that. And now, but the good news is that we have biomedical HIV prevention tools that have been developed to prevent HIV transmission. And on that day, yesterday we just celebrated the Condom Day. It was International Condoms Day. So we have condoms, free condoms available at every health facility. And also you can, even at campus, we have campuses who are distributing condoms. And it's very important that you reach out to the university clinics to access this condom. But we also have the PEP in case someone has been exposed to HIV, or you've had sexual intercourse with someone that you're not aware of their HIV status. It's important that you go and access the PEP, and also and also we have another HIV prevention tool, and this is for the future use. We have the PrEP, the oral PrEP, which is also available in different health facilities. You can also go and reach out if you have some money. You can also reach out to the pharmacist to help you, or they could refer you to where you can access the PrEP. So it's very important to stay safe on such.
All right. The importance of staying safe cannot be overemphasized. It's imperative upon just about every individual out there, because many people make mistakes when recreation comes into play. And now today there is a lot of pressure on people to demonstrate love, to justify love, to show love. And for the vulnerable persons, especially the young girls, it is usually seen as if you cannot offer this kind of intimacy as the ultimate justification for love, then things go haywire after that. People break up, and that kind of pressure leads very many girls and young men into catching HIV. But Doctor, first, give us an overview of the current landscape in Uganda, especially in urban areas where Valentine's Day is very much hyped. From media, radio, TV, we're also victims. Earlier in the day, we were talking about it so much. We had to. The hype is too much sometimes, but it's understandable because people, one philosopher said that romantic love is one of the greatest forces in human life. We cannot distance ourselves from it. So as we celebrate this, we must pay attention. What's the current landscape like? What should we take note of?
Yeah, that's an important question, and I hope the listeners are paying attention.
No doubt they are.
Paying attention.
No doubt.
Because, like you say, it's already part of our culture.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I will tell you, if you went to the villages, you'll find young women dressed in red today.
Today is
so the celebration of Valentine is something that is already commonplace everywhere, villages and urban settings.
Yeah.
In the context of HIV, we see that generally HIV is higher in urban settings than in rural settings. But that may be misleading to some extent. If you look at the capital city of Uganda, Kampala, if we rank the areas, the geographical locations with the highest HIV prevalence, Kampala does not come number one. Out of the 146 administrative units we have, it does not even come number 10. It is not even number 20. It is not even number 30.
Hey.
So, if we are going to assume that it's the urban areas which have the highest HIV prevalence, automatically Kampala would be number one. But it's not even number 30. You find districts like Agago, districts like Chotera, districts like Mbarara having a much higher prevalence than the capital city Kampala. So, assuming that HIV is a problem of urban centers may be misleading. You may think, I'm in the rural community, here I can afford to suspend what the health workers have already told me. It's not safe. Mbarara has an HIV prevalence which is almost double. This is in Mbarara rural. If you look at Mbarara rural and you compare it with Mbarara city, the HIV prevalence in Mbarara rural is 14.4%. The HIV prevalence in Mbarara city is 8.1%.
And what's the national average?
The national average is 5.1% now as we talk. So look at Mbarara rural. It's more than double the national HIV prevalence. Almost 3 times Mbarara rural. So the idea that HIV, the risk of HIV is highest
in urban centers,
in urban setting can be misleading, greatly misleading.
Okay.
Districts, rural districts like Rengo. Rengo was recently a trading center.
Yeah.
So it was just recently created, but it has a higher prevalence than Kampala city. So the listeners have to be not to be misled that if you're outside the city setting, you're safe. No. HIV in Uganda is generalized. It affects, it is in almost all districts. It affects all age groups, all categories, even nuns, it is there in nuns. Even in fathers and reverends, it is there. So it's generalized. There's no population group that's not affected. So when you go out there today, yes, of course. When you go out today and you are prepared to celebrate your Valentine, you don't have to put your guard down. You don't have to use your eyes and imagination to be logical. Logical means that you are going to say she's from the village, or she has been living in the village, she's most likely HIV negative. You may be very wrong. If you look at the HIV epidemic, keeps changing. The last time I was here, maybe like 15 years ago, I think Kampala was on #1. 5 years ago, Karangara district was #1. But you can see Karangara district is not #1. #1 in highest prevalence is for Porto City. So things keep changing. Do not try to use your imagination and your creativity to make a diagnosis of HIV or no HIV. The best sure way of knowing whether somebody is HIV positive is by performing an HIV test. Fortunately, one of the messages that we have today is that we have HIV self-kits, test kits. Like you rightly say, the force stopping people from celebrating their Valentine, it would be a difficult sign for me to try out. I leave that for reverence. But my job today is to give the population, the people, options. We have HIV test kits. Do not use your mind. If you do not know somebody's HIV status, it is not safe. Do not use your judgment, your eyes, your logic, and even the false information you have gathered all over the place. Surprising, people are always trying to create, people are always spreading false information. And people find it so easy to believe false information. I don't know. It is comforting, I think, to believe in the myths that are really...
It's usually false information is packaged in a very attractive way.
Yes. And
the human mind and nature is the tendency to fall for what looks good.
Yes, of course. So false information easily spreads, is easily believed. But as we celebrate Valentine's today, I wanted the listeners to know that the HIV epidemic is still real. New HIV infections are still occurring at an acceptably high rate. Last year, 52,000 new HIV infections occurred. Those are so many people, 52,000. And we cannot afford. So when one contracts HIV, it means they must start on lifelong treatment. What is strange is that for treatment, we require 1 million, close to 1 million per year, to keep a Ugandan treatment.
1 million,
Uganda
shillings
Uganda shillings
per year.
So imagine that we keep on adding 50,000 per year. Within a few years, we shall have 20 million Ugandan 20 million of our population in need of ARVs. So you studied math. Get 20 million, multiply it by 1 million.
I struggled with
per year. You cannot even put it in words, that figure. We cannot have that money as Uganda.
We can't have it.
We can't have that money. So we must still invest in prevention. Try as much as possible today as you celebrate not to add not to acquire HIV or to transmit HIV, because we do not have money to put all Ugandans on treatment. Even the 1.4 million right now we have to depend on donors to give us money to be able to afford their treatment. And donors cannot stretch forever. So we must also work hard to make sure we curtail HIV spread. So today, as you celebrate, keep that at the back of your mind, that you will make your contribution as an individual to make sure there's no further HIV spread or HIV acquisition, so that we don't divert the whole of Ugandan budget to buying ARVs and keeping our people safe.
The servicing debt is already straining us. If we are to find more money to do things that we can stay clear of. So
the message is clear. Enjoy responsibly today, and we shall show you, I think, along the show what responsibly looks like.
You've just preempted my next question, but before you answer that, including on what strategies are being implemented as a result of funding shortages occasioned by aspects including COVID, allow me return to Ruth Akullo, especially on the treatment regime that is available right now. It's sometimes some people are not as religious enough to be able to stick to the treatment. Along the way, many factors come into play. lack ability to purchase for those that need to purchase them. For those that are getting them for free in public health centers, access could be a problem, conditioned by so many factors, including availability in the health centers. Take us through what this arrangement is like and how best one who is not as strong as another perhaps, or for example, can stay the course, because keeping on treatment is important. It helps reduce transmission, right? Yeah, so take us through your experience and how best could you advise the young girls out there. The other thing is we should make clear, you spoke about the fact that you've lived with HIV for all your life. That means it was transmitted at, is it?
At birth.
At birth. Okay, that is important to note. All right.
Okay, for one word I would love to point out that it's not actually one word, but if you are living with HIV, you have no choice other than to take your drugs religiously. Yeah. I admit that there are challenges, especially for young people who are born with the virus. You get to grow up and you get to experience different stages as any other person, even without. You get to experience puberty. You also experience challenges that comes with adolescent stage. And now that I'm now in my 20s, so there are also a different set of challenges. But throughout all this journey, it's important and to put into our minds that our life comes first. If you want to stay long, if you want to achieve your dreams, because we all have dreams. I've always wanted to be an economist, and yes I am an economist, but I wouldn't have achieved that without life. So it's important that we choose. We always have to choose life. Always, if you want to give birth to children who are negative, you have to choose to take your medicine. So we have U is equal to U now as an HIV prevention tool or method, and U is equal to is undetectable is equal to untransmittable, meaning that if you take your if you religiously take your medicine, you will reach a point in life where you are unable to transmit the virus to your partner sexually. So it's important that we decenter, because as people living with HIV, I've interacted with my peers, and one thing that always sticks out for us is that because I'm living with HIV, I can't do this. I can't be in a fulfilling relationship. I can't achieve my dreams. I can't have healthy children. So it's important that we decenter that perspective. So it's for us to be able to enjoy life as it comes, and with treatment, you can live just like any other person without limitations. So that's one thing that I wanted to really put out there, that you are not HIV. You are not HIV. HIV is just a small proportion in your life. It's just a small aspect in your life. You are bigger than that. We are bigger than that. So it's important we decenter that negative perspective, and then embrace the positivity with living with HIV, and also embrace positive acceptance, because there are two. You could accept that, oh, I'm HIV positive, now let me go on a rampage. You go on a rampage to to infect other people, which is totally wrong.
That's right.
But we have to accept ourselves positively and understand that yes, I am in this situation, so how can I move forward without infecting other people, but also making sure that I stay healthy,
and live productively.
Yes, and live productively. And we have so many people living with HIV, and they're doing an amazing work. And we have lawyers, we have bankers, we have people, we have businessmen and women. So HIV is just a small aspect in our lives. It's not everything.
Okay, wow, thank you very much. Doctor, I want you to quickly, because time is not our best ally, we need to go on ground. I need you to quickly talk about the Zero New Infections campaign, but also there is something I saw on one of the social media pages about groups that encourage people who are positive to interact knowingly in search of love. I don't know whether there is any specific strategy that counters that, because to the layman that would be very disturbing if somebody is saying let's interact because we are both positive. That shouldn't be a reason for interaction. Please help enlighten on that, and also the various age groups and how they are affected.
I think Ruth is best positioned
for that one.
For that one.
Okay, no doubt.
Tell us how. Of course, they are facing challenges as a community.
That's right.
As much as we've come out to kill stigma, as the Uganda AIDS Commission and the HIV response in general, we're implementing programs to kill stigma, and we're making headway. Stigma is less than it was 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
That's right.
But specifically for today, I wanted to point out age groups that are at most risk. When we look at the number of new HIV infections we had last year, if I take a city like Kampala, 50% of all new HIV infections in Kampala last year were among young women between the age of 15 and 24. 50% of all new HIV infections. And I'm very sure tonight, this Valentine's Day, the young woman outside there between the age of 15 and 24 tonight. So the young woman between the age of 15 and 24, whether you have already combed your hair, I want you to first stop and think and have a plan for today. How are you going to conduct yourself tonight, today? Are you going to be empowered? There is still time for you to look for empowerment in form of information. I've told you one of the things you can do is to ensure you have tested for HIV. To ensure your Valentine today, the person who is going to bring you the flowers has tested for HIV. Put it, rehearse it, that it's a plan. Rehearse it. She talked about, yesterday was Condom Day, World Condom Day. If you do not know somebody's HIV status, it is not safe. You must go with condoms. They must insist on condom. Have a plan today. When I look in general across the country, the young woman between the age of 20 and 24 across the whole country takes position number 1 in the number of new HIV infections, acquiring new HIV infections today, every day. I expect the young woman today between 20 and 24 tonight to come out leading. So the young woman 20 to 24, can you have a plan? There's still time. It is still early. This is followed by a young woman between 15 and 19. This is across the country. You can see the highest new HIV infections today. We expect them number 1, women 20 to 24. Second, women 15 to 29. I mean 15 to 19. Third position, women between 25 and 29. So you can see it is a program of young women today. If you go around town and you ask who is excited about Valentine, it is a young woman between the age of 15 and 29. I want to challenge the young woman. It is still morning. 15 to 29.
Hold those trucks, think.
First think. How are you going to celebrate Valentine Day? We have empowered you. There are HIV self-test kits. We have empowered you. She has talked about post-exposure prophylaxis. Some people have boyfriends who are not gentlemen. They forget the rules. They forget the negotiation that you do not say yes. So, and in the morning you find you need help. So we have treatment we call post-exposure prophylaxis, especially for young women who are really violated by their boyfriends. So you visit, take the flowers, go for dinner, then you end up sleeping where you shouldn't have slept, on a promise that nothing will happen.
Okay.
If something happens, come to the hospital, come to any public health facility. We shall give you post-exposure prophylaxis so that you don't contract HIV tomorrow morning.
All right. Dr. Byamukama.
Maybe I should add one thing. The highest number of new HIV infections are coming from two categories of people, mainly men and women who have been married before. Divorced men, divorced women, separated men, separated women. So if you are going out tonight, young woman, with a man who has been married before, the probability that you will wake up in a painful situation is highest.
Information is key, and I'm sure whoever is watching and listening out there is now armed very well. I'm afraid time is not our best ally. Ruth Akullo, Advocacy Officer at ICWA. Many thanks for the perspective. I hope you have a Twitter account.
Yes, please.
People should be able to follow and, of course, be able to be inspired by your story. And the Ministry of Health and the Uganda AIDS Commission, of course, is always out there pushing awareness campaigns. We are glad we are amplifying some of them. Now,